Good morning to all international buyer and good evening here from Brisbane, Australia. Today is March 3, 7 o'clock in the evening. In Conakry, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Instead of giving the answer to this buyer, I was talking to a person from Nigeria that he has a buyer in Conakry using Ms or Brinks. And this buyer asked me to bring gold to Ms and to Brinks. My dear, we don't bring gold to Ms or Brinks. We have an office in Conakry. The policy is like this. I think you as a broker have no idea. You're just collecting information. Brinks and Ms is a logistic. He doesn't own the gold. The owner of the gold has the policy and has the terms and condition. This is the term and condition whether you buy gold in Conakry, Mali, and Sierra Leone are all the same. First of all, I know you have been running around and dealing with a group of chain of brokers on WhatsApp or even on Facebook or on YouTube. Now, this is very clear, direct answer to the inquiry that I have. Instead of answering one by one, I rather put this on my platform so that the future buyer understand. I will explain to you this Conakry, Mali, and Sierra Leone again and again. In Conakry, I just been to Conakry 2022 before entering 2023. The procedure that I put online is very extensive, and you brokers have no idea what you're doing. You're not reading the procedure. You're asking FCO. The FCO is here in front of you on every video. And then you're excited. To me, you're not working for your buyer. You're just thinking about yourself, collecting information. Now, let's talk about Conakry. When your buyer place an order, we expect your buyer to send a letter of interest to purchase. That is number one. That LOI, meaning to say the buyer is intending to purchase. He's applying to buy the gold in Conakry. Right. So when you forward the LOI from your buyer because you are a broker collecting information, Wilhelmina will review your buyer's letter of interest to purchase. So when Wilhelmina receive that LOI, complete details of the buyer, not cut and paste. Don't hide your buyer because your buyer will fail if you are not transparent being a broker. Maybe you're just collecting information from chain of broker. When you come to Wilhelmina will scrutinize your buyer. Now, how I'm gonna scrutinize your buyer? Your buyer sent an LOI, right? Stating his company name, address, email, etc., etc. And he's going to state how many carats he's looking for, what carats, what purity he's looking for, how many quantity your buyer is looking for. And the mode of payment. The mode of payment is F.O.B, bank-to-bank payment. Now, before you're gonna travel to Conakry, you have to have a contract based on your letter of interest, how many quantity you have, how many quantity you need. Then we will reserve your order. We will do the contract, either cash contract or long-term contract. It's still the same. Long-term contract is a cash contract because this is not CIF. This is not cost insurance and freight only. You have to pay the gold before we're going to bring the gold to central bank. Now, when you inspect the gold in the office, let's say your interest is 10 kilos. You come to the office with me, with Wilhelmina. I have to travel from Australia to Conakry to meet you. Or if you are from Dubai, I have to meet you in Dubai in order to assist you to bring you to the office, inspect your order. Right. Before you travel, you need to have a contract signed by Mr. Buyer and Mr. Seller. Wilhelmina will only countersign that you came to Wilhelmina. Right on the contract, I will sign it that you understand that you came to Wilhelmina in order to purchase gold. Right. So, when you have a contract, you review the contract, we will send you the confirmation of your order and you will receive the company profile. We will send you the company profile, mining license of the seller, and the export license of the seller, the number. And you as the buyer, you have to show us your business registration as well, an importation license as well, your passport copy, and the proof of the value of 10 kilos. That is how a proper business. You're gonna say how much is the price, Mrs. Ford. Now the price of gold is not fixed. It fluctuates every half an hour. Right, just a moment. The price of gold today is March 3. On the world market, the price of gold is 59,361.49. Right. This is already refined. Okay? So our selling price is based on the world market price. Someone is disturbing me, sending me message on my computer. Now you're gonna see what is the price. Our selling price less 8% LBMA. You're gonna say, oh, too expensive. Well, you're buying expensive item. What do you expect? What do you expect? You're not buying banana. You're not buying bread. You're buying world asset here. So our selling price is $54,000 per kilo. The world market is 59. Less 8% equals $54,000. Right. So we don't hand over the gold to Brinks. We don't hand over the gold to MS unless you pay the gold. Then when you pay the gold, that is the time we are going to hand over to MS or Brinks. Then the Brinks say, where is the export documentation from the owner? So the owner will provide us a report, certificate of clearance, custom clearance, ownership, right? And the child labor certificate that the gold is not coming from the child labor. So the seller is going to prepare for that because he owned the gold. And the seller will prepare the documentation that the gold is not coming from illegal activities before it hand over to Brinks and MS. So you're gonna say to me that Wilhelmina instruct your seller to bring the gold to MS or Brinks. You did not even introduce yourself properly. Who is the buyer? Right, I've been to Conakry. And I have a transaction successful. We don't do that. Before we're gonna bring the gold to central bank, my head office will hire the armor car, will hire the security guard to escort the gold. Then the gold will be at the central bank. Yeah, the central bank will see the payment, the certificate of payment called cash inflow. Nobody explained to you like this. And then you're gonna instruct me to tell my head office to bring the gold to Brinks. Then the buyer will pay. No. Brinks has nothing to do. Brinks is not the owner of the gold. You have to pay the gold first, bank to bank, based on the contract. My seller's bank, correspondence bank, is New York. So from your country, based on the contract, you have to inform your bank manager that you are going to transfer pay money in Africa. You're buying valued goods, because that bank of yours will question, why are you sending money to Africa? So you have to understand that. Most of the joker broker doesn't understand. No matter how I explain individually, I don't explain anymore. Instead, I'm going to tell the world, so that the future buyer, rather than running around from broker to broker, Mr. Buyer, pay attention on this video. This is for you. Yes, we have gold. We have tons of gold in Conakry. Yes, we have MS. Yes, there is a Brinks in Conakry. But we have nothing to do with MS. MS is only a logistic. MS will pick up the gold to central bank, right? Because once my seller bring the gold to central bank, the gold stays at central bank. Where is the receipt of payment? The central bank will not give the certificate of clearance. So how could we bring the gold to MS and Brinks without paperwork? I did call Brinks 4 years ago. The Brinks says to me, they will come to the office on behalf of the buyer. They will inspect the gold. Right? If you are Mr. Buyer watching me, why are you naive? This is wealth you're buying. This is money. We have to do step by step. We don't bring the gold to Brinks. No, we don't. The seller will hand over to Brinks when export documentation completely done. You have to transfer first the payment. After you inspect the gold in the office, before the gold leave the office, you have to transfer the money into the seller's account. My seller's account, correspondence bank, is in New York. So you have to wait for 3 working days. After 3 working days, then the seller say, okay, we receive your payment. Then that is the time the gold will be brought to the central bank. Then the seller will process all the paperwork. When the paperwork's done, then Brinks will pick up the gold at the central bank, and MS will pick up the gold at the central bank, ready for the buyer to receive it. So once the gold has been picked up by Brinks and MS, we have nothing to do, because this is cash business. We don't deal CIF, we deal only F.O.B. That is the reason why I always say, listen and read to this full corporate offer on every video. And Mr. Buyer, this is the first time you travel, right? You need to be with Wilhelmina, because the seller in Africa, it doesn't matter he is my seller or not. They are very hard to deal with. You can be rejected. Yes, I'll give you the situation. This is real, right? There was a young man. He's originally from Pakistan, and he works with a big company in Dubai. 2021, he was talking to me. Right? There were 3 of them. We have a voice video conference, and they don't even open their camera. Okay, so I give them an opportunity. It's okay. So he was been window shopping, and then suddenly he was been offered under value in Conakry. And he flew to Conakry. And he sent me a message that he is in Conakry. Not knowing I stayed at Nom Hotel at the same time he stayed at Nom Hotel. And he showed me the contract. And the contract that the signatory is not my CEO. Someone is a broker, local agent. So he explained to me that he was being offered $33,000. So when he showed me the contract, I saw the company letterhead of my head office. But I didn't tell that but the young man from Pakistan, but he works with a company in Dubai. He said he's a buyer, but when I interview you during the breakfast, he said he's working on behalf of the big company in Dubai. Right. So he lied. He deceived himself. So I told him, okay, go to the office of this seller, meet the CEO. But I did not tell him that I know the seller. A minute he showed me the contract, the company letterhead of my seller, and I saw the signatory is not the signature of my CEO. So I told him, go in the office and meet the CEO. Right. So he went to the office, but I just been to the office prior to his visitation. So the driver picked him up, and I saw the driver. I know the driver. So I didn't tell this representative that I know the seller, which is my seller. So he went to the office, and he was being rejected. And then he come back to me. Well, Amina, do you think this seller is real? I said, why did you say that? I feel nervous. I said, why you feel nervous? Oh, his price is not $33,000. I said, really? And what did the seller offer you? Least 8%. LBMA. Wow. And he said, is the seller real? I said, yes, I think so. So while I'm picking up his language, middle of my conversation, and I told him, you know what? You're dealing with my seller. And you were talking to me in 2021, isn't it? 2020 and 2021, middle of that year. And you were window shopping, is that right? And you were being offered $33,000 per kilo. The real seller would not sell his gold under value. And he said, really? This is your seller? I said, yes. In fact, I am with the buyer with me. He stayed at no motel. I also stayed at no motel. Can you imagine how tricky is the buyer's representative? So he returned to Dubai empty-handed. He only stayed in Conakry 3 days. What a waste of time. And then he asked me, why not work with us, Wilhelmina? I said, no, I don't work with anybody. I work for the company that hired Wilhelmina. Failure. So now, Mr. Broker or Miss Broker or Mrs. Broker, we don't bring gold to Brinks. We have an office. Let your buyer talk to Wilhelmina because I'm going to interview the buyer and I'm going to guide the buyer properly. Right. Now, another buyer already in Mali. He opened a company and he's in Mali. He couldn't find the gold. And his broker come to Wilhelmina. He said he couldn't find the gold. He needs 100 kilos. And I told him, we don't do business like that. You travel to Mali, you open your company, that is your business. And the seller would not deal with you. Why? The seller prepared to deal directly to the buyer. This is for export. And that buyer, he opened a company thinking he can get cheaper gold. So what's the point of having a company name? To open a company in Mali, it costs money as well. Right? I told this broker, tell your buyer to drive to the village. There's so many kidnapping and bring cash and then you buy gold there on behalf of your buyer. Because we don't do business like that. I prepare to bring the buyer in the office that I scrutinize the buyer, then you will get the gold. This is what our policy. That is why the seller hired Wilhelmina to market, to inform the world that this is world asset you're buying. You are not buying banana. You are not buying bread. Even bread, there is a value. This is a world asset you're buying. Yes, Mali has tons of gold. But how are you able to get tons of gold or 100 kilos? And you did not convince me because I'm going to bring to you to the office I am going to bring you to Conakry. I am going to take you to Sierra Leone after my validation about your background. Are you really a buyer? Or you are just window shopping or fishing around? I don't entertain cut and paste. I don't. On my procedure, even here, the extensive procedure is in here. You read it, digest it properly, then you come back to Wilhelmina. Why? You have to prove to us that you are a buyer. Now, when I travel with you, Mr. Buyer, I do charge my services. I do. To cover my trip from Australia to Conakry. I have to travel from Australia via Dubai, then Dubai to Conakry. If you are from Dubai, Dubai to Conakry, one stop. There is an Emirates. There is an Emirates Air Cargo. There is MS, yes. My seller has his own logistic. But even though my seller has his own logistic, I already informed my seller before I leave Conakry last year. We have to open the door to everyone. We let the buyer choose which logistic he's going to deal with, because some buyers are not confident with the seller's in-house logistic. That is fine, as long as you pay the gold. Yes, then we will hand over the gold to MS. MS will come to the central bank and pick up the gold that already prepared the export documentation. Mr. Buyer, do not sit down on your chair. You have to travel with Wilhelmina so that I could guide you. Last year, I traveled 4 or 5 times. I met a young Russian, and with his interpreter, and I have a video conversation in the other office, and I asked him, "Where are you coming from?" He said, "Oh, I came from Russia." "How long you been dealing with my seller?" 12 months. And every month he traveled to Conakry to pick up 300 kilos every month. He supervised the shipment. That is fine. He supervised, he has his own logistic, and 300 kilos, ship it to Russia. Why Russian want to buy gold? Why? Because there's business in Africa. Russia is now sanctioned, right? They come to Africa to get the gold, to get the diamond, in order for them to have an asset in their country. And you're sitting down on your chair from Dubai, from Germany, and etc., thinking the gold will come to you. No, the gold will not come to you. You have to follow the process. The process is in front of you. Read it. What necessary requirement that you are going to prove to us? It's here. Read it. Click below. And what necessary paperwork, what necessary export documentation that you are going to need when the gold leave the country of origin. It's in here. Mali, Conakry, Sierra Leone, exactly the same. And you're gonna say, how much is the price? Our selling price less 8%, LBMA, whatever the price of the world today. Click below, because I put the taxes on every country. Mali, Sierra Leone, and Conakry. Click below. Don't rush when you see me on this video. Do not rush, or else you're gonna be rejected. Now in Mali, exactly the same. What I explain and what the procedure, whatever the full corporate offer, exactly the same. You choose which one you want to travel, Mr. Buyer. Conakry, Sierra Leone, or Mali. How much you can afford? Can you afford to pay the gold? Yes, because I'm going to charge you to accompany you so that you will not be frustrated. I have to be with you in order to assist you. Then you're going to be satisfied. Then you're going to be happy to get this precious mineral for your business. You're going to say, well, Amina, how much is your extra service? Yes, I do. charge 20,000. Remember from video to video I said, I'm going to charge you, Mr. Buyer, of 20,000 because of my travel cost. Mr. Buyer, do not be confused. You are buying $1 million here. And you cannot afford my $20,000 to me, you are not a buyer. Therefore, you don't have $1 million then. Instead, Mr. Buyer, instead that you're getting 8% because you pay my extra service to accompany you to the office. My extra service is to cover my airfare from Australia to Dubai, Dubai to Africa, because I have to stop over in Dubai. That is a transit. It covers my airfare, hotel accommodation, spending money, etc., etc. Instead of 8%, I'm going to give you extra percentage discount. I'm going to give you 10 to 11%. Only when you convince me. Only. And I don't deal blockchain or broker anymore. Because Mr. Buyer, we love to do business with you. We give you a very good deal in order for you to get the profit. My seller would not pay double commission. There is no profit margin of the seller. Don't you know, Mr. Buyer, when the seller bring the gold from the village to the city, whether the seller will bring the gold to the city in Freetown or Bamako, Mali or Conakry, they are going to hire the security. It costs money as well. Right. So the gold is in the city, not in the village. You don't need to travel in the village, Mr. Buyer. You don't. Too risky for you to travel. If you want to travel, go for it. There was a guy that opened a company. He traveled to the village. Go for it. Our gold is ready in the city. Yes. In Mali, tons of gold. In Conakry, tons of gold. In Sierra Leone, tons of gold. But how are you able to pay the tons of gold? You have not convinced me. And then you send me a message or cut and paste, bring the gold to Brinks. I beg your pardon? Why are you going to bring the golds to Brinks? You did not convince us. Do you think my seller will give the gold to Brinks without knowing who is the buyer? How is the buyer going to pay? Right. You guys, you joker broker, have no idea. Now, I already explained here. Instead of explaining individually on the group chat, I always say, listen to this video, click consumer, read the full corporate offer, click on the link on my platform on Facebook. It is very extensive. All the pictures are original. You saw Wilhelmina. I was inside the manufacturing company, jewelry manufacturing company in Dubai. So don't tell me that I don't know the business. I am. That's why I'm scrutinizing you, Mr. Buyer. You're just new in this industry. You want to earn a living. Before you have to earn a living, you need to have a capital before you get the profit. Does that make sense, Mr. Buyer? I just finished having a conversation with this lady from Nigeria. And also this guy from East Africa, that his buyer is in Mali. He couldn't get the gold. And we don't entertain buyer already on the ground. We prepare to entertain the buyer. We exchange information. The buyer has to send his business registration before the buyer see the seller, business company, and mining license, and the company profile of the seller. That is how a proper business, Mr. Buyer. We don't cut corner. Last night before I closed, there was a gentleman says, send the gold to Dubai. I was listening to him. He was sending me a chat. Send the gold to Dubai. We will pay after we inspect. I beg your pardon. You are just sitting down in your chair in Dubai. You know Dubai is a hub. You know Dubai is full of smuggler. Dubai is a good place to do business. Dubai is good country. I love Dubai. But you guys, you open a company in Dubai thinking the gold will come to you. No, it wouldn't come unless you have this. I don't know, you guys, you open a company, you spend $26,000. Yes, you have a piece of paper, but you don't have the supply. What's the point? You're renting an office, but the supply didn't come. So the money is ticking, the clock is ticking. No one will bring the gold. Yeah, someone can bring gold to you. Someone will smuggle it. But watch out if Dubai government will find out that you are bringing smuggled gold. Yes, 1, 2, 3, you're gonna be okay. But number 4, number 5, you're gonna be caught. There was an article, May 13, 2022. I will cut and paste and I will put on here. Click on the link on dirty golds in Dubai. Where the gold coming from? From Africa. Sellers and brokers and joker buyer, they try to smuggle in Dubai. Why? Because of profit. And then when the gold arrive into their hand, they're gonna sell the gold to the refinery and the jewelry manufacturer of 2%. I know. I've been to the jewelry manufacturer. Where the gold coming from? From Africa. Right. The refinery love to buy gold. Why? The refinery can make into different uses. Gold coins. Money, $1, $2. Where the gold coming from? The raw materials from Africa. Why mining company of Australia and Russian and German and Italian is in Africa? And why are you there, Mr. Buyer, small timer? Then you're dealing with the black of chain of broker, thinking the gold will come to you, thinking you can get cheap gold. Yeah, you can get cheap gold. Go to Kampala. Gold from Kampala and Nairobi smuggled Congo. Go on my Facebook. It says Congo is United Nations embargo. I got the articles. I put that on my platform on Facebook. If you go on my Facebook, you scroll down every pages. Go down, take time, read it. Don't rush, because this is not a rush business. You can see the dirty gold from Africa, from Dubai to Switzerland. Right? The Switzerland has no gold. They get the gold from different part of the world and then the is melted. So the main source of gold you cannot trace up. So they go to Switzerland, they refine into 99.99 and no one can trace up. It says on the articles. I have the video on my Facebook. Yes, go on my Facebook. On my YouTube, I have a limited to put the information. But on my Facebook, it's really very extensive. Impossible you wouldn't understand. Impossible. Most of the joker broker have no time to read. They're excited. They're excited thinking how much their commission. Send me the NC to say, no, we don't deal with NC anymore. The seller hired Wilhelmina. I'm going to scrutinize you, Mr. Buyer. Yes. Now, you're going to say how much is the selling price? Our selling price, less 8% LBMA. It says on this video. So the price is not fixed because you have not convinced us. Right. Our selling price, just a moment, is 54,380 per kilo. Based on the world market less 8%. Use your calculator. So this price, it fluctuates. 3 days ago, the price was down. Now the price is up again. Right. So there is a prediction from Kitco that the price of gold might turn to $2,500 or $2,000 per ounce. Use your calculator. I'm going to use my calculator. This is the prediction, 2,500 per ounce times 32.15. Could be 80,375. I'll bet you wouldn't be able to afford it if you're a small timer. Okay? The big spender can only afford. So you're a small timer, you want to do business, yes, you can. Show us that you have $500,000 or $550,000 on 5 kilos. I might consider to deal with you. But if you cannot show us the proof upon your bank statement that you are really a buyer, that you are really capable to pay, yes, I will entertain you. Seller will laugh at you. You know, my seller was saying to me, thank God that you are with us, Wilhelmina. And I said to my seller, I'm with the buyer. At the same time, I am with the seller. I guide the buyer so that the buyer would not be duped, so that the buyer can continue buying with us. Instead of 8%, Mr. Buyer, there is always room for negotiation. You must remember. Talk to Wilhelmina. I am very kind and generous. I have the power to say yes or no. I have the power to tell the seller, listen, I already validated this buyer. He should ask his business registration, importation license, passport copy, and the proof upon the bank statement. So the seller will believe me because I'm going to send to my head office your best copy of your business registration. Don't be scared, Mr. Buyer. Don't. Your information would be intact with Wilhelmina. I know my seller. I already been to the office. I traveled to Africa many times. This is my office. I'm based in Australia. We don't have gold in Australia. I don't have any gold. You come to me, I will interview you, just like when you apply for a job. I am the extension here. When you apply for a job, you have to send me your resume, right? You're applying to buy this precious mineral. You're applying to buy diamond. You're applying to buy gold. And you're not reading. Then you come to me, how much is the price? The price is in front of you, list 8%. As I've said to you, there is always room for negotiation until you convince Wilhelmina, because Wilhelmina will give you a very good price instead of 8%. Why? I threw back the percentage because I do charge my extra service to accompany you, Mr. Buyer. Then you're gonna say, Wilhelmina, how many days I'm going to stay? At least 8 working days. Why? To transfer the payment into the seller's bank account, it goes to the correspondence bank in New York. It would take 3 working days to clear your payment. Why? Because of the time difference. After 3 working days, my seller say, okay, the money has been credited into the seller's account. Then the seller start to process the paperwork. Now, Mr. Buyer, before you travel, you have to inform your bank manager that you are going to transfer the payment to Africa, because Africa is a red flag of gold laundering and money laundering. So you need to show the contract. Right. So when I gather your information, your banking details, your bank manager, etc., etc., it says here, which one is your bank manager? Because I'm going to verify whether you have fund into your bank account. This is not leveraging business. This is not cost insurance and freight. This is not LC. This is not SBLC. This is F.O.B, cash bank to bank. So if you travel to Africa, meaning to say you are prepared, you need to inform your bank, because some of the bank will say, why are you transferring money in Africa? Why? You have to tell, here's the contract, I'm buying valued goods. Then you will receive all the information of my seller. I have all the information. I will send it to you, the company profile, the mining license, because the bank manager say, oh no, why are you transferring money in Africa? Because Africa has been tarnished by you, international buyer, cutting corner. And then you're going to say Africa is scam, is scam. Yes, there is. I don't use the word scam. I prefer to use you deceive yourself and the seller deceiving you. Yes. Yes. That's the reason why last year, Mr. Buyer, I brought the buyer from United States. You know, I charged them $15,000. Now, 2023, because the airfare has been increased, everything has been increased, the price of gold has been increased. Of course, do you think I'm going to travel with you for free? And then when you resell this gold to your customer, list 2% or 3%, and I give you 10 to 11%, you get the profit. Right? So think about it. I'm very straightforward and very Direct to the point. I don't want to muck around. Most of you doesn't like Wilhelmina. Too bad if you don't like Wilhelmina. The real buyer will talk to Wilhelmina because the real buyer needs the supply. I just have a conference with a big appetite from Dubai. He's looking for tons of gold. And I told him, do your job, come back to me. And I'm not excited until you show your company profile. Yes, I told this big appetite. He said he will come back to me on May or June. I say, okay. Now, Mr. Baya, we are here to do business. Just start a trial, Mr. Buyer, 10 to 15 kilos. Then you increase your order. Let's do the contract. We will send you the contract, but I don't send you a blank contract. I wouldn't. I prepare to gather your information. We'll send you the contract to you directly, Mr. Buyer. You will see all the information of the seller. You can contact the seller directly if you want. Yes, because I am the mandate. And on the contract, I have to countersign that you talk to Wilhelmina because I'm going to be with you. And if there is an issue, I would be with you. And then I will find a backup. That is the reason. Don't travel without Wilhelmina, Mr. Buyer, I'm telling you. This is for your own benefit. What is $20,000? And if you get this gold, you resell it 2 to 3%. I've given you 10 to 11%. My gosh, you get a profit. And then you increase your order. My gosh, at the end of the year, I can guarantee you your profit is 80%. It depends on the quantity you order every month. Is that make sense, Mr. Buyer? Now, I think I already answer all the question about Brinks and MS. I will upload this on my YouTube channel and also on my Facebook. Whoever you are, take time to read. Don't rush because this is not a rush business. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant good morning to you. Here in Australia, it's evening, 7:50 in the evening, March 3. So the price of gold, it fluctuates, is not fixed. Okay? So go on my Facebook, you can see the price of gold. Thank you very much.